You know what? You know what?
What?
I'm going to let you do the story since this episode is mainly just going to be me talking to Aaron. So I feel like you should do the story, the cold open. So whenever you're ready, Kevin, I want to let you know that I value you being able to speak freely, and I value your stories, and I don't want to interrupt you, and I want to give you your chance to talk as much as you need to. And as soon as I'm done telling you how much I appreciate the fact that you're patient and you're willing to listen and you have all these wonderful stories, and like I said, I'm not going to interrupt you, and the floor is going to be yours, and I want this to be completely your ability and time to speak freely and tell us your stories. And I don't want to interrupt you, and I just want to set up for the listeners, to everyone to know that this is Kevin's time and nobody else's, and only Kevin. So Kevin, whenever you're ready, after I'm done,
I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Can I start?
Yeah, whenever you're ready. I'm going to let...
Can I be ready now?
You can be ready now.
Oh, all right. Sweet. Roll the theme music. All right, that's it. Ready to clap?
I am always ready to clap.
3, 2, 1.
Now,
perfect.
Before this, I was defiant, and I was snapping, and I wasn't going with your bits. But I will say that in this episode, I'm still going to be defiant. So let's go.
Okay, that's fine. Be defiant. Go. Do your thing.
Welcome.
You're doing the interview.
You're doing the interview. Don't welcome back to another not episode of the Pop podcast where we talk about potpourri and Kevin in his sweatsuit of iced tea. I am not a host or co-host. My name is Kevin Matthews, and with me as always is Odie Minor.
Good. I'm here.
Can you do the real intro, though? I feel like that was bad.
Yes. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Unpop podcast. My name's Kevin Miner. He, him, El Capitan Todo Siempre. With me, as always, is
Odie Matthews, the chef cooking up the content. They, them.
Perfect. We nailed it. And Odie, this episode, you have a special guest for us. His name?
His name.
I don't know. I don't want to assume.
His name
is Aaron.
And
he's from
Nomads Nation.
And he does
all kinds of stuff. This dude's awesome. Aaron is.
And you like him? Why?
For a lot of reasons. And if I'm going to tell you right now. I'll tell you, Kevin. I'll tell you why I like him.
And how does your conversation go? Can you give us a Reader's Digest?
Oh my God! Just wait like 5 minutes and listen to it. Spark Notes version. Yeah. No, Aaron's great. He is actually the reason that we have our group chat called The Pack, which I've talked about before. It's just a bunch of...
The Wolf Pack.
No, just the pack.
Pack of boys.
No, just the pack. It's a group of content creators in the sphere of like gear reviews, backpack reviews, and travel stuff. He is the one that kind of put it together. And through Bo is Mono, I was invited. And Aaron has just become one of my favorite people to talk to. He's such a cool dude. He's always doing some cool stuff. His channel, Nomads Nation, is, in my opinion, probably one of the best in terms of like production quality, information. I love his editing style, which I say his. You're going to find out in this episode. Aaron doesn't work the camera or do the editing, which I think is really funny because that's
hooray.
A lot of YouTubers in this sphere.
Who does it? Is it his alternate personality?
No,
is there another version of him?
No, he hired some
that
people.
He summons from the recesses of his mind.
He cloned himself.
It's editing time, Scott. Get out.
No, but he's literally fantastic. He's done so much cool stuff. He's just a very fun and knowledgeable dude. And like I said, he's one of my favorite channels to watch. And he's just one of my favorite people to talk to because he's always nice. He's always smiling. He's just got some always cool stuff to say. And yeah, just one of my favorite dudes to talk to. And talking to him this time was always a fun time.
That's amazing. Roll the interview intro. No, it's not that one.
Oh, right.
That's how computers talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way computers talk to each other.
12 seconds. 3.
No worries.
2, 1. All right, let's rock and roll.
There we go. Okay. Welcome back to another episode of the Unpop podcast. I am one of your hosts, Odie Matthews, and I am joined by the wonderful and incredible Aaron from Nomads Nation. Aaron, how are you doing?
I'm great, Odie. It's day 1 of Chinese New Year. Oh, let me turn my my notifications off. Sorry, that's very unprofessional of me. But it's day not a strong start, but it's all going to be good from here. It's day 1 of Chinese New Year, and I live in Hong Kong. So Chinese New Year, it's the biggest time of the year. So I'm rocking my red. It's the year of the dragon, which is going to be a really good freaking year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm coming in with good vibes.
Good. So to start this off, we ask a 3-part question. Who are you? How are you? And what do you do?
My name's Aaron Radcliffe. I'm doing fucking amazing. And can I curse? I should have asked before.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. I have a bit of a sailor mouth, so apologies in advance for that. And what do? I've never been comfortable with the term, but I guess I'm an entrepreneur. I run a few different online businesses. I have a travel blog called One Weird Globe, and but my bread and butter is Nomads Nation, where we are a media brand, where we have a website, Instagram, YouTube channel. We mostly focus on travel gear reviews. It's something you know very well, Odie.
Oh yeah.
And then over my time of running Nomads Nation, we mostly focus on backpack reviews, and that got me into the world of backpacks. And then it kind of gave me this crazy idea to start my own backpack, and I'm launching my first backpack brand, Firo, and we're about 2 to 3 months away from launching as well.
So that was actually my first question for you. Was I know that there's another episode 10 of Building a Bag for your channel at the time of recording. Hasn't come out yet, but I was wondering what that whole experience has been like for you, if you wanted to like summarize. I know you've obviously got, which I highly encourage people to watch your videos about, like how you guys have been developing that, but how is that going overall so far?
Like just the whole experience of building a bag?
Yeah, like what like how's that been? Because there was a point in time where I was partnering with a brand to make a bag with them, kind of like Chase Reeves did with Pact.
For the that's awesome, dude. I didn't know that. Are you allowed to disclose the brand?
Well, that company kind of doesn't exist anymore. So
got it. Okay.
Yeah,
makes
they unfortunately did not survive COVID. So
okay, got it. R.I.P.
So yeah, literally. But yeah, how's that going for you guys?
Well, dude, it's been nuts. I have no real experience like making a product before, so it's been a steep learning curve. But I decided, like, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna learn how to do this, and I wanted to kind of bring the audience along with me. I figured, I'm big into like, internet marketing and stuff, and I listen to a lot of like, I'm looking, for different edges in marketing. And one thing, there's this dude, you know Gary Vaynerchuk, Odie?
Oh yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah. He's just a big like social media guy. He's a fantastic entrepreneur, but he's always like, don't create content, just document. Make it easier on yourself. Just document what's happening. And I was like, dude, I really like that idea. So knew I was gonna make this backpack, and I'm like, I'm just gonna document the whole thing. I'm going to literally do a behind the scenes look from the initial idea all the way to launch. I'm going to publish everything. I'm not going to hide anything. I'm going to be 100% transparent. And so then I'm not only, building a bag, but I'm showing people the process of it. And it's been the coolest thing I've ever done. Like, just to be honest, like not in terms of like I'm not trying to, like, the response has been great, but just like from an enjoyment perspective, like building in public, learning how to do it, documenting the entire process, getting feedback from the Nomads Nation community. It's been awesome, and I've loved every second of it.
That's dope. I mean, I definitely can tell you have a pretty good community because you just launched your own podcast for Nomads Nation, and like overwhelming support on your first episode. Like, I think in the first day it cracked over like 1,000 views, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's I take like, back to like the internet marketing thing, like, like I listen to like Gary V and stuff, and a lot of internet marketers, and really like community is everything. It just really is, and if you're not taking the time to connect with your community and really put them first, like content is a commodity these days, right? Like there's just so many podcasters and influencers and YouTubers that, if you're not doing, what it takes to create a genuine connection, with your community, they're going to be on to the next, right? So because of that, I respond to every single YouTube comment that I ever get, every single email, every single message. If it comes in my inbox, I respond to it, and I'm usually not just like thanks, and like I'm trying to like, do thought provoking answers, right, to kind of initiate a conversation. So I think it's a long game to do that, but it's been working really well, and I've been really excited about it. The community's stoked. I love connecting with everyone there, and it's been a good run so far.
Yeah, I bet they're pretty excited for the bag. I mean, I'm excited for the bag. I mean, after like Rush Faster, who we also know did theirs, like I'm stoked that other bag reviewers are diving into creating. Because I mean,
Yeah,
not to say that there's high expectations, but I mean, kinda.
dude, definitely. Like there's really high expectations. Like I'm coming in like hot. I'm like, yeah, this sucks about this bag. This sucks about that bag. Like if I don't pull through and make a really good bag, like it's not going to be a good look for me. But I feel confident. We I'm not building the bag myself, right? So I hired a very experienced development team in Vietnam, who's sort of
Oh
like the
yeah.
middleman. So there's me with the idea, the factory that produces the bag, and then we've got the middleman, the development team, bag me, and it's 4 people on the team. They've got about 70 years experience making bags between the 4 of them. They're
Jeez.
incredibly good at what they do. So working with them has been an incredible experience, seeing how they attack the entire process of making a bag, how, it's just like, I'm like, I've learned so much about backpacks in this process, and I reviewed 300 before I even started this. So, but yeah, so I knew quality was of the utmost importance. So that's why I made sure to work with a development team like BagMe, and they've just been helping take the bag to the next level.
That's so cool. So are you guys doing like on the Nomads Nation side, are you guys doing a lot of like the designing and then sending it to them to kind of like model it into the bag? Or are they doing like all the design and you're just having like giving them like footnotes input? Like
Sure,
I'm
that's
just curious how that works.
of course, no, it's a great question. So different people can do it different ways, right? For me, what I did was I have no design skills. I have no design skills whatsoever. So what I did was I hired a designer right off the bat. And most bag companies are usually started by designers, but not all, right? You have some bag companies like Manal,
Mm,
Nomatic. Those are just off
yeah.
the top of my head that I can think of,
Pretty sure
where they're not
Wandered.
designers. Oh,
Yeah.
I think I Wandered. Yeah, they're not like, yeah, they don't come from a, yeah. Good call. They don't come
Yeah.
from a,
Yeah.
a big background of design. So it's not uncommon for non-designers to start a backpack brand or any brand, right? These are just entrepreneurs who love bags and had an idea. And that's the route that I took, which means that I had to hire a designer. And the process was basically I've worked with this designer for a while in the past, on a different project. And basically, I explain what it is that I want. And then, in great detail, we had like a 2-3 hour chat. And then from there, he gave me 4 different concept ideas, right? And I had to pick
Ah.
which one that I liked. I'm like, ooh, I like that one, but I want a little bit of this. So really, the
Mm.
entire design process, I'm very, very involved in the whole thing, right? Picking and, like, oh, let's do that, let's do that. And then from there, once the design is done, the drawings are done, we have what's referred to in the industry as a tech pack. Then it gets past the development team. And then they start, okay, cool, this is a drawing, but a drawing is one thing and an engineered soft good is very different, right? So they're like, okay, there's this part and this part in the drawing, but that doesn't make sense, physically. Like there's no way to do that. So then they have to interpret the drawings and make an actual product out of those drawings, which is an entire process in itself. So I guess to answer your question in a roundabout way, we focus on making a product that I was very excited about and that resonated with me and the brand that I'm trying to build. And then now the development team is trying as best that they can to execute that. But it's not always that smooth, right? Sometimes we have ideas and they're like, listen, we can't do that, or we can and it's going to increase costs by this much, or you will, so there's so many factors. There's a give and a take on every decision that
Yeah.
needs to be made, which is, it's part of the fun.
So you guys think that after this one, if it seems like it's going pretty smooth, do you think you guys will do more?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, my goal is like I really want to have like I'm very passionate about backpacks, obviously, but also like building a brand. And like for Firo, like you reviewed a few Go Ruck bags, right, Odie?
One. Yeah.
One, okay, that
Yeah.
that counts, right? Um,
I'm on the board.
good enough. So
Yeah.
I'm really inspired by what GoRuck does. And explain to me, Odie, like your audience, are they more on the gear side of things, or what? Like how deep into backpacks should I get right now? So I don't want to nerd out too hardcore.
No. I would say, I mean, for the podcast, I think people just like to hear stories from people like yourself. That's kind of why we bring people of different backgrounds on. As for my YouTube, yeah, they're gonna love this.
For sure. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, then I won't nerd out too hardcore, but I'll give it. I'll go deep enough.
I love the nerding out
Anyways,
for bags. So I mean, feel
for
free.
sure. Well, so your question was, do I want to do more bags? And yeah, I really want to build a brand because, like the way that content has become a commodity in a lot of ways, so have goods, like there's so many cheap goods that are just drop shipped from China or, white labeled with other people's labels on it, right? So like, what really differentiates, just like when you're building a community in content, is when you're building a community for a brand, right? And that's what I really want to
Yeah.
focus on, is building a lifestyle brand that really appeals to a certain niche of people, and then to just bust out products based on that, right? And I mentioned a company called GoRuck. For those who don't know, GoRuck is a backpack brand, and I'm inspired by them because I actually don't like their bags, like for my aesthetic personally. They're amazing
Yeah, me
bags, like
either. Oh yeah.
they're incredibly well made, but like it's not my vibe. But
Yeah.
I love what they've done, is to where they've really initiated themselves into the rucksacking. Is that the rucking community? Is that
Rucking? Yeah.
rucking?
Yeah.
That's
We
it.
run through mud with weight on your back.
Exactly. So you pop this bag on, you put a bunch of weights on, you just run for an extended amount of time, and
Yeah.
it probably feels worse than it sounds. I haven't done it. Have you rucked, Odie?
No. I mean, I was in the
No.
military, but I mean that's the closest I will ever come to that.
I
So
imagine you guys did some things that were not quite rucking, but like as grueling as rucking.
yeah, like rucking
Is.
adjacent,
Yeah, rucking adjacent. Got it. Well, anyways, I'm gonna get to my point. Is I'm inspired by this brand. I'm inspired by this brand because they've really built a cult like following in the way that they've embedded themselves into this rucking community. It's a very proud, very vocal, very small but very energetic community, and
Oh yeah.
they've just exploded because of it. And this is what you're seeing in a lot of product development right now with brands, is to really go niche. And then when you really do well in a niche product, you can then grow from there, right? In the way that GoRuck has, is where now people who don't even go rucking are buying go ruck bags, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine that most people who are buying go rucks now aren't even rucking. It just started as a very small community, and then the lifestyle element sort of exploded it, right? So that's what I want to do with Fyro. We're more focused on like go-getter types, like people who are getting shit done. We're really taking an angle of, for people who are laptop and keyboard warriors working around the
Mm.
world. So that's sort of the lifestyle that we're going to be hitting at. And so the goal is to make hopefully a bunch of products that can really work well within that community.
That's dope. I love that. Where did the name Fyro come from for that? I mean, because obviously you guys are Nomads Nation, so
Yeah, I had some back and forth. Like, you mentioned Rush Faster. For those who don't know, Rush Faster is
mm,
another brand in our travel, our bag review niche. And they've been reviewing bags for like 7 or 8 years, I think, maybe
been
even
on there a
longer.
while.
Yeah, so they're a media brand, and then they launched their first backpack and a tech pouch and a pencil case, and they kept it under the Rush Faster umbrella. So they kept the same brand name, and I went back and forth on what to do with this, and I decided I wanted mine to be different because I like the Carryology Bellroy model. You're familiar? Do you know that Bellroy owns Carryology?
Yeah, yeah. That's a
Okay.
good way of looking at it.
Yeah, so I like that model a lot. For those who don't know, Bellroy is a huge backpack brand, and Carryology is a
Yeah.
huge backpack media company. So they're two separate brands, but they're owned by the same company. So they can kind of work with each other, and they ebb and flow with each other. So I thought that would be a more interesting way to do it, and
I like
so yeah,
that.
that's why I went that direction. But there would have
That's
been pros and
cool.
cons either way, right? With the way Rush Faster's doing it, it's also a lot simpler. One brand, a little bit more streamlined from that perspective. But I think there's pros and cons to either way. And then with the name Fyro, my graphic designer Pablo, he's a genius. We were going over names, and he's just like, hey, I have this cool idea called Fyro. And I was like, what does it mean? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, cool. I love it. Let's do it.
That's awesome.
and
That's kind of how the
and
best names are created.
Yeah, I mean, they say like the best names, the less association that you can have with that name, the better. So unfortunately, the association that I get the most with Fyro is the Fire Festival, which
Yeah. It's like
yeah,
one
yeah.
letter
So
off. Yeah.
I know it's so close. So no matter what, you're gonna have some sort of association, right? I guess that's not that most ideal association, but I haven't been getting it that much. I only get it
Yeah.
once or twice. And as that festival goes into into the past pages of history, the association will hopefully be less and less. But if you're trying to find like a 4-letter name for a brand, there's always gonna be something that's associated with.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
we're really excited about the name. Really excited about it.
It's funny. Do you know why I wandered? So I got the privilege of meeting the Wandered guys when I lived in Salt Lake, and the
That's
reason they
awesome,
don't
dude.
have an the reason they don't have an E in their name is because apparently it was going to be like 3 times as expensive. So they're like, we'll just drop
Hmm.
the E then. So I just
Yeah, I
love
think
how names are created like that.
yeah, for sure. I mean, you're seeing that across the board in, new brands. They don't have vowels. It's like a joke. Like all no brands have vowels. They're just consonants, like
Yeah.
Mudwater. Have you seen Mudwater? It's
Oh
just like
yeah.
MDWTR, right? It's because mudwater.com has been taken by some dude living in Louisiana like 30 years ago. So
Yeah.
these domain these domain names are like it's this crazy sub industry where like people are just making a lot of money buying domain names, parking them, and then selling them later down the line, right? So
Oh
you would
yeah.
hope that the guys at Wandered would have bought wander.com for 100,000 USD, but instead they said, screw you guys, we're just gonna take out the E's and
Yeah.
suck it, nerds. So yeah, that's what we had to do with Fiverr though. Fiverr.com, I think, is available for like $100,000, and I was like, that is a little out of the budget. So
Just a little.
I just ever so slightly. So I got Fiverr.co and called it a day.
Hey. Yeah. So you mentioned at the beginning that you live in Hong Kong, and I've always been kind of curious. So how did you end up in Hong Kong?
For sure.
Or are you
I
like,
was
were you from Hong Kong?
No, no, dude, I'm from the States. I was born in Connecticut, raised in Florida, and then when I was
Ah,
19, I got a big big case of the travel bug, and I lived in Denver for a couple years. I lived in LA for
yeah.
a while. Moved out to Gainesville, lived up in New York for a bit, and then I was like, all right, time to go international. I lived in Portugal for a few months. I did Thailand for a bit, and then I was working on the Nomads Nation website. I wanted to be like the world's greatest travel writer. That was my goal. Like I
Mm.
wanted to travel to distant lands and blog about my experiences with the locals, and
Oh yeah.
that's what I wanted to do. So I was working on the Nomads Nation blog at that time, and I wanted to work as much as I could on the blog while being while being able to make money because I wasn't making any money on my blog. So I needed to make money. So I was like researching ways to make as much money as I could while working as little hours as possible. And it turns
The
out
dream.
teaching English in Asia is actually a great way to do that.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, so in Hong Kong, you can work like 25 hours a week and make a really decent salary. You're not rolling in the Benjamins, like I'm not like, popping bottles at the club on the weekends, but I could survive with some extra money to spend. And I was only working 25, 30 hours a week. So then I could do that extra 30, 40 hours a week on my blog, which is, the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And that's what I did. So I moved out to Hong Kong. I had a buddy who was here. So I had some friend, or I had two friends at the time that I knew who lived in Hong Kong. So it was a little bit easier of a transition for me. And then, yeah, I taught English for a couple of years while, my 30 hours a week, and then, built the blog on top of it outside of those hours. Now that's why I ended up here. And I planned to move, but then I met my wife, and she's so annoying. I fell in love with her, and now I'm here. Like,
And now just Hong Kong is home. So
exactly, home sweet home.
is so you're no longer doing the English then. So is Nomads Nation like everything that's encompassed underneath that is like full time, finally able to pay the bills, the dream of
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
YouTuber?
Yeah, well, like I said, I have another. I have a few different ways that I've made money online. I did a lot of freelance marketing for a while because it's funny how I'm sure that Odie, like your YouTube channel has opened so many doors for you,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And it's led you to different avenues in life, and that's one thing that they don't really talk about. I think when it comes to like starting a side hustle or following your dream of starting a podcast, right? Is it that first thing doesn't always work out. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't
Yeah.
always for everyone. It didn't for me. Like I said, I wanted to be a travel writer. That did not work out for me. But then travel writing sort of led me into SEO, which is search engine optimization, which is getting your
Yeah.
blog higher in Google, right? And that I was like, oh, SEO is kind of cool. Like I want to be a writer, but I'm learning about this SEO stuff. And then I got pretty good at SEO, and then I was started doing freelance SEO, right? And then that led to me learning about email marketing, because they're like, if you're blogging, you need an email list. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I developed sort of an internet marketing repertoire of skills. And then that sort of allowed me to do some freelance stuff. And yeah, I was able to start working full time for myself about 5 years ago. And I've been
Oh
full
nice.
time ever since with some freelancing. But during COVID, all of my businesses crashed, right? So Nomads Nation, my travel blogs, it's all in the travel, right? So in the travel niche.
Yeah.
So I had to get a job for about a year during COVID. But what's interesting is like how, these things work is like because of the experience that I had um, with internet marketing, I got a job at a marketing agency here in Hong Kong, and like I got to be head of content, like that,
Oh, damn.
and like I had never worked at a marketing agency before, but they saw my resume and they're like, you know what you're doing. And this is not to like talk about me right now. It's just like, I'm just very passionate about people following their
Oh,
dreams,
yeah.
starting a podcast like you or a YouTube channel like me. And it's just like I'm hoping that anybody who's listening who might want to take that first step is like just do it, because you just never know where it will lead to. And that's the
Yeah.
coolest part about this, is the doors that it might open, and the path that you go is always, it's always going to be interesting and different, but like you never know where it'll lead until you take that step.
That's what I tell everybody. I mean, this YouTube channel is actually my third attempt at YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago, like over a decade, tried doing like movie review related content on YouTube, but my
Mm-hmm.
heart just like wasn't in it. Then I
Mm-hmm.
tried again to do movie related content, and then I got out of the military in Germany, came home, and had all these backpacks that I just bought over the years from like Wandered and Nomadic and Peak
Mm-hmm.
Design, and was like, well, if Chase Reeves and Bo Mono can do it, like I could probably do it. And so just started doing. I just kind of fell into bags. Like very funny how third YouTube attempt ended up being something that I ended up falling like madly in love with. And it's
For
always
sure.
fun
And
to explain to people that too. Like, oh yeah, I review backpacks, and they're like, what?
mm-hmm.
What does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
mean?
Dude, it's bizarre. People, but my family has my family. I think I don't even know what my family thinks that I do. I tell them this is like, oh, okay, that's is he dealing drugs? Is this
Yeah.
codes? I'm not sure what's actually going on here. He always has backpacks. We don't know what's in the
Yeah.
backpacks. No, but well, I mean, and Odie, we've had some conversations about this too. Like you and I have talked about like how you've gotten like editing jobs, like film editing jobs from
Yeah.
your YouTube channel, right? Like, I mean, you probably never saw that coming. So it's just
Oh,
really
no, not at
interesting
all.
how like when you put yourself out there, and especially if you don't mind being on camera and putting your face out there, people will have a tendency to develop a relationship with you and trust you more, and they're more likely to make offers to you. And it's just, you just never know what those doors open. And one more thing that you said that I loved is how you started the movie review channel and your heart wasn't in it. I'm gonna interview you now. Why wasn't your heart
Okay.
in it, Odie? What? Yeah,
So
the tables have turned.
the turntables.
Welcome to the Aaron Radcliffe podcast. This is a takeover.
Just
No,
taking
no, but
over. I love it.
I'm
No, that's a good question. I mean, it's funny because I have been obsessed with movies since I was a kid. I have movies are tattooed on my body. Like they're have always been my biggest passion in life. Like I love watching movies.
all right.
And
What's the greatest movie ever made?
North by Northwest 1954, Alfred Hitchcock, Cary Grant.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you're that's a good answer. Damn, you've out movie nerded me there. Okay. All right, you win. You win. You may continue.
Um, but when I realized that when I tried to talk about them, having to like script out my feelings, I realized that a lot of my favorite conversations about movies just happened organically, like just
Sure.
talking like naturally with people. And now I actually started a second YouTube channel where instead of like reviewing movies in the way that a bunch of like big YouTubers do, I just do whatever the hell I want. I'm actually working on I talked to Bo about this a little bit. I watched all 10 Fast and the Furious movies in less than 48 hours, back to back. Like just and I'm working
You
on
know,
a big video essay.
you like to do these little challenges that you just really push
Yeah.
yourself. The frontier flights thing. This seems in a similar
Yeah.
vein. Next time you should do the five frontier flights in 48 hours while watching all 10 Fast and Furious movies.
Jesus.
That would be impressive.
So I did the Fast and Furious watch like over a month ago, and I am still trying to get like my morale back because those movies just crushed me. Watching them all back to back, my brain melted,
I
like
could
just
imagine.
gone. And funny enough, with the Frontier flights, Kevin, who's on the podcast, we are going to try to go for 12 back to back this year. 12
You
Frontier
guys are
flights back to back.
savages, complete
Yeah.
savages.
Hey, someone's got to ask the hard questions, and that is,
It's
what
true,
happens when you
man,
take 12 flights back to back on the worst airline in America?
and we're about to find out.
Yeah, that first trip was gnarly. That
Oh yeah, dude. I saw the
yes,
video. That was nuts.
yeah,
You're a braver man than me.
my partner got super sick the night before, and my first flight was
Mm-hmm.
at like 6 a.m. So I didn't sleep at all the night leading up to it. I left my house at like 5 a.m., got to the airport with like 1 minute to spare, and then jumped on flights over the course of 48 hours, just sleeping on planes.
Dude, you're a champ, dude. That's unbelievable.
It was it's definitely something. But to answer your question, yeah, movies now have come back in a way. I did like tier lists, like ranking movies, which is way more fun. And
For sure.
I feel like, and actually this, I'm now leading back into another question for you. How much I saw your post on Instagram that you were talking about camera guys being like camera nerdy. Something about your two camera operators talking camera stuff. So how much behind the camera work do you do?
Oh, dude, like nothing. I can't. I can barely take a photo. I don't know. I don't do any of that stuff. We have a team at Nomads Nation. I started Nomads Nation like with an editor, my good friend and collaborator Tav. So he started the channel sort of with me as like a freelancer, and he does all the editing. I don't know how to really do any of that stuff. So
Interesting.
I focus on what I'm good at. I'm a rare YouTuber that doesn't know how to do any video editing. So I mean, I could figure it out. I've been in iMovie. Like I could do
Yeah, yeah, of
like a
course.
montage if I needed to. You know, I do some cap cutting every now and then, but yeah. My thing was that I want to focus what I was good at. I had a choice where I could either learn a new skill set with editing, which I was interested in. I thought about it. I'm like, do I want to, commit myself to this path? But I was in a position at that time where I was working that head of content job, so I had a little bit money to play with from the salary that I was getting there, and I'm like, I'm just going to reinvest, this portion, invest my portion of my salary into a full time freelancer, or it wasn't full time, almost full time, and see what ends up happening with that. So that's what I did. I chose a very different route, and for anybody out there who's considering starting a YouTube channel, and if you don't mind investing into an editor, it's definitely a viable path,
Oh yeah.
especially if you're somebody who has other skill sets, like when you're starting a business, and I'm sure that you guys have this with your podcast, Odie. It's really good to find somebody with a complementary skill set, right? So
Yeah.
if there's two people who are really good at coders, like big businesses usually aren't started by like two coders. It's usually like one coder and one guy who's really good at marketing, right? Or
Yeah.
if it's a backpack company, it's one guy who understands logistics and shipping, 'cause that's such a huge part of it, and one guy who understands design, right? Because those skill sets are so complementary. So, if you're going on an endeavor like that, and you're interested in YouTube, but you're not good at editing, right? I can't edit, and our
Yeah.
videos are fire because,
They
I've
are. Your
been able to.
editor's on top of it.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I can't take any credit for that. They've set up these systems. I'm very blessed to have the team that I have. So, yes, to answer your question, not I'm the world's
Interesting.
weirdest YouTuber. But I
Well,
highly
actually,
recommend it.
I know a few others like that.
Okay, cool.
That don't do their own editing, and it's funny because when I wanted to do YouTube, I knew how to operate a camera because I did it in the Marine Corps.
Hmm.
But I'd never been on camera like that. I've never filmed. I started in iMovie and I basically just watched tutorial after tutorial and just taught myself. And
Hmm.
now I've landed freelance jobs as a video editor. I mean, I'm head of marketing for the company I work for, and I still, one thing that I made sure to keep on hold of is I have someone that does social media. I have a photographer that's also our graphic designer, but like anything video related, I still do. Like, I will not give up control of that because I just love it so much. Like, it's funny how that happens.
It is, and I think that's an interesting point. But also, you talk about the love part, and that brings me back to actually something we were talking about earlier that I want to full circle. Let me connect these
Oh yeah.
dots real fast because I turned the interview and I was like, why didn't you like the movie review channel? Oh my God, it's all coming back to me. Okay, so and I think it's just one important point out there that I want to put out there is like, if you're out there and you do want to start that side hustle, that business, that YouTube channel, whatever, like doing something that you love is also very important, because no matter what like business you start or whatever it is that you're doing, times are going to get tough and you're going to be tested, right? And if you don't like what you're doing, you're going to make every excuse possible to not edit that video, to not post that tweet, whatever it is, right? So for me, like I think that in this new economy that we're in this new creator-led economy, like focusing on your passions is so important because that's what keeps you going in those tough times, right? Like don't
Mm.
follow the trends, like I know that AI is hot right now, and before that everyone was trying to make money with crypto, and before that everyone was trying to make money with drop shipping, and before that everyone was trying to make money, like
Yeah.
those the chasing trends, like people can make a buck on that, like they really can, but like that's just chasing money as opposed to chasing passion. And like I do think that in this day and age, like chasing your passion is just a much more sure way to actually get it done. And it might take, 10 years, but at least you're enjoying every step of that process. And that's really important to me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm curious. Was there ever a point for you starting off with Nomads Nation where you were like, maybe not, maybe it's time, maybe this isn't for me, or where your passion might have dwindled to the point, or went down a little bit? Because I mean, I like to think that I'm not the only creator that's gone through that slump of, oh my god, do I really want to be doing this? Because
Mhm.
I've been there at least once, for
For
sure.
sure. Oh, dude. I mean, it's a matter of inevitability, and yeah, I definitely have had that. And like I said, I had the Nomads Nation website first, and I still have it. It does okay. Like it's not really that great, and like I kind of quit on the Nomads Nation website to sort of pivot into other things. Now I'm starting to reinvest back into the website. So, um, the answer to your question is yes. Like, it was going in a certain direction and then I wasn't getting results. So, and that's the hardest thing, not just in business, but in life in general, is knowing when to keep pushing forward and when to hit the stop button, right? That's true of business. That's true of goals. That's true of relationships. It's a really, that's the question that nobody can answer for yourself. But one thing I will say on that is I did come very close to quitting the Nomads Nation YouTube channel after about a year and a quarter, I'd say, to about a year and a half. We weren't getting a lot of traction, weren't getting the results that I wanted, and it was getting expensive. And I had an idea. I always wanted to start like a marketing YouTube channel. I think it's pretty
Mm,
obvious. Like I love marketing. Like
yeah,
it's like sex. It's like sex to me. It's great. Oh my
Mm.
God, it's just so hot, It's just like, oh, like
I do love
optimizing
marketing.
this and click. It's just so exciting to me. It's like rock
Oh
and roll to
yeah,
me.
I love marketing.
So it's just cool. I mean, you're head of
Yeah, it's
marketing. It's
yeah.
what we do, and it's communication is all that it is. Marketing, and it's how do you communicate things effectively and clearly to people. So I wanted to start. I've always wanted to start a YouTube marketing channel. And I didn't. I was thinking at one point to quit Nomads Nation because I wasn't getting the traction. I was like, this is the time. This is the evidence that I needed to start my marketing channel that I always wanted to do. And but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it like 6 more months, and I'm really glad that I did because we pushed really hard in those 6 months. And we started to see some really good results, and they say it's always darkest before the dawn in some ways. So
Yeah.
sometimes when I read a lot of business books and podcasts and stuff, and for a lot of people, like when there is that like push when you're about to quit and you just give it that one last sprint, even though
Mhm.
you're out of breath, you just push it through that one last time, and sometimes not all the time, that last little sprint can really pay off.
Makes a huge difference. I mean, I would say for you guys, it paid off because people might not know that are listening to this, but in my opinion, you won a pretty cool award last year that I mean, I'm jealous. I'm happy for you, but I'm also jealous. Like I gotta be honest. Like
Mhm.
as so how was that? Like when you found out that you got that from Moment, what was that moment like from Moment?
Uh, it was cool, Like I don't want to put too much emphasis on it. It was just like there's this company called Moment, and they make products, and they have a bunch of media stuff, and they made a YouTuber reviewer award, and yeah, we got on top. It was really cool. Yeah, it was really cool, dude. Like that. It was good for the day, and then you
Yeah.
just kind of keep moving on, right? Like because that doesn't really move the needle for me, but in some ways, it's validation doesn't suck. Like let's be
Yeah,
honest,
no.
like everyone's like, oh, you're insecure if you need validation, this validation, that. Like it's nice to be acknowledged for things.
Yeah,
Like our
I agree.
awards, made up bullshit at the same time. Of course, like there's two sides of that coin, right? Like awards are pointless in a lot of ways, but also it's nice to be acknowledged, and it felt very nice to be acknowledged that day. So yeah,
Well, I think
I,
people
I was
voted on
stoked.
that one, didn't they? I thought
Yes,
that
yeah,
was yeah, as I say, so I mean that's a reflection right there too of the
yeah,
community
yeah.
we were just talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it was a vote. But just to be nominated too, it was pretty cool. And then yeah, we got the community to go ahead and there and vote. And now it's another little badge that I can add on the website. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, don't be too jealous, Odie. Okay, you'll get
I
it next
mean,
year.
yeah, or yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I was really surprised. I think it was Bo. Bo sent me a link on Instagram and he was like, "Hey, by the way, did you know you're on Pack Hacker's like best gear reviewers list?" And I was like, "I'm on what now?" Like,
Hmm,
I didn't even know I was on that until like months after it came out.
that's awesome.
So,
I didn't even.
yeah.
Pack Hacker has a list of
Yeah,
best gear
and you're on
reviewers.
it, I'm on it, Bo's on it, like,
I had
Bo
no
showed
idea.
I'm pretty sure it was Bo that showed me, and I was like, "Oh, look at that, that's That's pretty cool. I
Hell
guess.
yeah, dude. Go us. We're
Yeah.
awesome. Validation. I'll take it.
Made the list of pack hacker, which it's funny like I don't want to say it's bragging, but in some ways, like being in a group chat, which Bo and I talked about the WhatsApp group, like being in a group chat with people that also are partially like in a way responsible for me being on YouTube or remaining on YouTube because these were
Mhm.
people, like Pack Hacker, Bo, Chase, Nomads Nation, like these are all channels that like people love and to be like, oh yeah, like I talked to them, like I know these people, like I've talked to Tom, like
A little
just a
dirt
little,
off the shoulder, right?
just a little. I mean, you got to
No,
take bragging rights where you can.
yeah, no, I'm so stoked about that group chat, and I think for anyone listening, like I think the moral of the story is like whether you have it's really nice and okay. So let me take this back. So are you familiar with the All In podcast? It's like a
I
big
no, I'm
business
not.
podcast.
I'm not familiar with
Well,
that one.
anyways, it's like four business dudes, and they've inspired like a bunch of people to start podcasts, like with a bunch of people. Anyways, there's another podcast called what is it? It's an e-commerce podcast that I listen to all the time, and I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on it right now. But anyways, they're all in a group chat together. There's like 15 dudes that run e-commerce companies, and they just talk about the value of this WhatsApp group
Mhm.
because we're all in this together. We ask each other questions, we help each other when we're down, we make fun of each other when we're up, and it's just and they talk about it all the time. Like I have to do this, so I was like, I asked Bo, I'm like, yo, dude, will you get my back if I want to start a WhatsApp group with all the back reviewers? And he's like, let's do it. So
Yeah,
that's what we did. And for anybody listening, like if you have like a side hustle or a podcast or whatever, like I would highly recommend, finding some people, putting together a group chat because some magic happens there. And it's
yeah.
funny, Odie, like with our group chat, it might be dead silent for 2 weeks, and then all
Oh
of a sudden someone asks a question and then it just starts popping off, right?
yeah.
So it's a great resource. So for anybody who's listening, just reach out to some people you may or may not know. I didn't even know half the people that are in the group chat. I
Me
just
either.
brought up the
Yeah.
idea, and now we're all cool, and it's a great resource. I'm glad you're getting value out of it.
Yeah, for sure. Funny enough, because Bo is the one that invited me.
Mhm.
The way that I ended up being friends with Bo is when I was at about like 200 subscribers. I was still very new to YouTube, still had no idea what I was doing. And there was a point in one of his videos about a bag that I was using that I was like, oh, I really want to like quote him, but I didn't really like. I was like, I should probably ask him for permission first. Like, Bo's a pretty
Mhm.
big deal. Like, I need to
Yeah.
like, because he had over 50,000 subscribers, and I was sitting at 200. So I messaged him on Instagram and was just like, hey, like, big fan. I started a YouTube channel. Like, blah 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 blah. Can I quote you on this? Next thing I know, this dude's having a video call with me, giving me advice, like helping me out. And ever since I've had 200 subscribers, Bo has been there throughout my entire like 4.5 year journey on YouTube, which is crazy because he's literally one of the people that made me want to start my channel. And now, like, it's just such a weird
It's
feeling.
Of course, dude. It's so awesome. And first of all, Bo's just the frickin' man. He's just such
Yeah,
a
dude, he's
kind-hearted
awesome.
person, and he's just so cool. But also on that note, another takeaway is like, I love that you reached out to him, right? Like a lot of people at 200 subscribers, they'd be like insecure. They'd be like, oh, well, he has 50,000. He's not gonna want time for me. They talk themselves out of it, and then that opportunity never would have happened. That relationship that you made never would have happened, right? So you pulling the
Yeah.
trigger on something like that is like just I think, an important reminder that I need to remind myself all the time is like, yo, take that chance. Because what's the worst that happens? You're right where you are now. But,
Yeah.
if not, that could open new doors and new opportunities for you. And look what it did. And I have a 5-year relationship with Bo, and you guys are super cool. You're on his podcast, he's on yours. Like I mean, it's really cool what happens when you just kind of say, fuck the fear. I'm just gonna
Oh,
try and
yeah.
do this thing, and whatever happens is gonna happen.
I love that. I mean, it's led to, I mean, I think it's I'm a big fan, and I really think it's cool that Rush Faster did the whole like reaching out to a bunch of people, even people like George Defined, who's not even in our group chat, and Chase Reeves, who's not in our group chat, but like having a chance for all these reviewers to be in the same video. I love crossover. Like I am a
Hmm.
huge fan. And I know it's funny. I mentioned this when I was talking to Bo too. You guys both sent me clips for a video that I have been working on. It's just
Hmm.
such a interesting project for me that it's just taking me forever. And also, question I asked him that I have for you in this regard. I like to take on big projects every once in a while, and then I stretch them out to, have something that's like an underlining project, like the Frontier Flights, a Fast and Furious video essay, this like documentary style on the Wandered bag. Do you guys do any big projects like that? Is there any videos that like you guys have put a lot, like months, or maybe not months, but like weeks of effort into because it's like a little bit bigger than your normal videos?
Really good question. Yes and no. So we're our channel. We're really good at some things and really bad at other things. We're really good at SEO, like because I come from that SEO background, so I know what
Yeah.
search terms people are looking for. And basically it's pretty easy. Like I do a backpack and I put review at the end of it, and anyone searching for a review of that bag, a Nomads Nation video probably pops up, right? But I know how to optimize the process and make the video as optimized as possible for that. So, but one thing we're bad at is algorithm type content. Really bad at it, like the YouTube algorithm gods have not shed light upon us at Nomads Nation yet. They none of our videos have ever gone viral. And I look at someone like, you're familiar with like Maurice Moves, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a not really a bag reviewer, but he does bag reviews, right? And this dude just knows how to crack that
Yeah,
algorithm
for
code,
real.
right? And his shit just rips sometimes, right? So my Tab and I were like, we need to do this. We need to get an algorithm video. So we spent like 2 months on a video, one time, scripting it, storyboarding it, everything. And we hit the publish button. We're like, here it comes, baby. And fucking crickets, man. The video, okay, it got like 50,000 views. It started the rocket ship. We are like, oh yeah, and then YouTube was like, and now you're done.
Yep. Don't you just love that moment where it just
yeah,
evens
that was
out?
great.
Like,
Once and then it's been like that fucking horizontal flatline ever since. So since then, no, because it took so many resources for that one video and so little of a payoff. So we are playing a little bit more conservative with the videos at that point. We're focusing on just sticking to our bread and butter, which is the reviews, which we know do work. But we do other types of projects. Like we're starting a second channel called Gear for the Girls, which is all for female bag reviews. So this has been about 6 months in the making. My sister came to Hong Kong. It's going to be featuring my sister as the face of the channel. She's a world traveler.
Wow.
She's a gear nerd. Yeah. So this has been about a 6-month project. She came here in September. We shot 30 videos, and they're almost all edited. So we're going to launch with 25 videos going live on day one, which will be in about a week and a half. So that's like a very long project that we've been working on behind the scenes. So I like to do projects like that. Another project is, I haven't told you yet, I don't think, Odie. We're working with a new platform called District to make a Nomads Nation marketplace, which is for secondhand backpack sales. Yeah, so
I saw something about that on, was it Instagram that you posted about that, or?
Yeah, I posted a little bit on Instagram with it. So, this is something we're working on behind the scenes for about a month and a half now. That should be launching in about a month, So we do lots of projects, but they're not always like video related. They're ways to like grow the brand, or I consider making a backpack a project, right? So I do a lot of projects, but usually they're less video related and more like initiative related. So, those are the three big ones that we're doing right now.
That's dope. I actually, damn, 25 videos at launch. I thought having like 5 for my second channel. I was like, five's a good amount, but 25. Dang, that's that's cool though.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not, but I remember I read somewhere that when you launch your, like 4 years ago when I launched Nomads Nation, they're like, you should go live with 15 videos, no less, because it's good for the YouTube algorithm. And I was like, cool. So that's what we did for Nomads Nation too. We launched with 15 videos. So which means it's a long time to really shoot the content and edit and hold off on it, right? You're like, this content needs to be live. So now we're doing that with Gear for the Girls. So should be going live with 25 videos in about 5 or 6 days. So we're really excited about that.
That's cool. Well, I'll make sure to, when that pops up, I'll make sure to share that around, because that's cool, because that is one of the biggest complaints that I saw. Well, I see mainly on videos where a bunch of reviewers are in it at once. Is they're like, well, where's the female reviewers? Like where's the one for the women? And I'm like, yeah, it's a valid point.
Yeah, no, it's a very valid point. There's 2 out there who are doing good work. Whose names I can't remember. Gear by Orla. She's doing great reviews, and there's another one. I think her name is Christine. I can't remember the name of the channel.
Hi, Christine.
No, it's not Christine. Her channel is different name. But there's 2 out there that I've been seeing, and they're doing great work. But yeah, I think that in our niche, the women feel a little underserved in terms of like content, and like because it's the number one question that I get is like, hey. It's from females. Is they're wondering, hey, what does this bag look like on a 5'2" petite woman? And I'm like, I'm a short dude. Like I'm 5'7". You can kind of figure it out.
5'8".
Yeah, like, I'm a 5'7" petite dude, but apparently it's not close enough. So so I've been getting so many of those comments. I brought it up with my sister, and I'm like, "Yo, do you want to do this? You want to come out to Hong Kong?" And she's like, "Let's freaking go!" So
That's
I'll be
dope.
curious to see how it does. But it'll also be interesting to start a new channel in 2024 versus 2019. It's a lot more competitive out there than when I
Yeah.
started Nomads Nation. I mean, it's tough out there. So we're trying to keep modest expectations for how this will go. So it'll be really interesting to see. How's it been
Yeah.
for like, because you launched a new, when's the last new channel you launched?
I launched it almost a week ago, but I spread
Okay.
out my videos, so I'm doing like releasing just 2 a week for the first like couple months just to kind of get a feel. But the thing is these
Hmm.
videos are long. Like my
Yeah.
tier list videos are like 30 plus minutes. So
I think
banking them
that's
has been
fine though,
hard.
dude. Dude, no, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, like, everybody, long form content still really works. And like,
Yeah.
and like you might not get as many views, but the people who are sitting through those views fucking love you. Like I
Yeah.
mean, they are hardcore fans. 'Cause it's really developing a relationship. Like TikTok and all that is great, and we're doing a lot of short form content, but it doesn't quite develop the same relationship that long form content does. I
Mhm.
don't think.
I gotta be honest. I try to keep on my main channel, I try to keep my content under 15 minutes because I just found that
Hmm.
that's kind of the sweet spot. When you're going through a review, I've seen a lot of like longer, like 45-minute plus reviews where people are like, this is too long. But on my
Yeah,
second channel, I was like, yeah, a little bit longer to keep people maybe a little bit more engaged. But I think Bo and I talked about how it's much more impactful to have like his example was like 100 listeners for a podcast where they're listening to you for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, as opposed to have, 1,000 people watch 3 minutes of your video. There's a real difference there.
100% agree. I mean, and like this is big in the internet marketing world, is to where if you're trying to work with an influencer, you're looking for people that really have developed relationships with their communities. And if you have people that are listening to you talk for an hour, like they
Yeah.
love you. Like I mean, you listen to podcasts, right? I mean,
All the
what are
time.
some pod? Yeah, I mean, and like I listen to podcasts. I listened to some podcasts for 15 years. Like I feel like Bill Simmons. Like I'm a big sports guy. Like I feel like I know everything about Bill Simmons. I feel like he's my father and like my uncle and like all these different things. Never met the guy. No, but
Yeah,
that's how I feel. That's my relationship with him from listening to him,
I
3 hours a
agree.
week for 15 years, So that's powerful, man. It
Yeah.
really is.
I've been listening to one podcast. They just hit their 10-year anniversary. I found them on like episode 2. It's the
Oh
Weekly
yeah.
Planet. These two
Mm-hmm.
Australian guys that just they talk about movies, and
Mm-hmm.
I found them like on their second episode, and I feel like I'm in the room with them, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good joke. Ah, ha, ha. It's
Dude,
like I've
that's
just every day, like
for sure. And also
yeah,
low key bragging rights. You were there since episode 2. They're blowing up now, and you'd be like, yeah, I was here since day 1. You got you damn kids, you newbies. It's like when
yeah,
you
right.
find the like that. It's like when you've been listening to that indie band for a while and they go big, and everyone's like, "Oh, have you heard The Weekend?" It's like, Shh, I listened to The Weekend when you were in diapers, kid. Shut up.
That literally happened in 2022. An artist that I had been following since his first album got really big on TikTok, and now I'm super grateful for him. He was nominated for a Grammy. He's got
Which artist?
Noah Khan.
I think I know Noah Khan.
He came out with an album called Sixth Season late 2022 and then did a deluxe version and just came out with his final version of it. And I've been in love with this man, like, in his music since his very first album.
Hell
And
yeah, dude.
like,
And you
I'm
always got
it's
those bragging rights.
yeah, but also I'm like, good on you. Like, I'm super happy that
Hundred
obviously,
percent. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a win-win. He gets to make more money and have a bigger platform, and you get to always say you were there since day 1. It's a
Yeah.
win-win.
I mean, he keeps making music, which is an even bigger one because,
Exactly.
obviously. But okay, so I got to
Exactly.
ask this question. Bo, both side, but because you're another bag reviewer, this question's inevitable. What would you say is your favorite bag if you had to pick one, and your least favorite bag that you've ever reviewed?
Ooh,
You got to
least
spill.
favorite bag.
And I'll give you
Yikes.
mine. I think my
Yeah.
favorite bag, and I say this all the time, but it's the Wandered Provoke. I love that bag to death. Like, it's just been there since day one. And my least favorite, I reviewed this bag called the Cybertruck bag, and it was fucking awful. It was the worst, most deformed, defective. The like little power bank that was like the selling point was like all damaged and crushed. When I reached out to them, they were like, "That's just how they come." Like it was just
Uh-huh.
awful,
That's just how
awful,
they
awful.
come. That's an
Yeah,
interesting marketing angle right there. That's just how we do with Cybertruck.
yeah. That's just. I mean, it's
We
like the real
we just
Cybertruck.
We just keep it cyber. Exactly. Cyber for life.
Yeah.
Great selection on the Wander Provoke. It's funny because in the bag world, you have like some introductory brands, I think, like a Wandered, I think, where they're, when a lot of people will find like a Wandered and be like, oh my God, nice backpacks exist.
Yeah.
They'll be like, I only knew there was Fjallraven and Jansport. And then a Wandered is like a great segue for people because it's accessible. It looks amazing. That Wander Provoke is a aesthetical masterpiece.
Yeah, it is.
But then when people kind of get into the bag world for a while, brands like Wander typically get left behind. So like, oh, well, now I'm into GoRuck or Evergoods or Black Emperor or, a Carryology collab that costs, $1,000, But dude, you're sticking to your guns. I love it. You're like, dude, Wander, and dude, that's such a great bag. I've got two versions behind me, and so underrated on comfort. I love the shoulder straps and the back panel on that bag. So underrated on its functionality. You got quick access pockets. You've got the back opening. And then just a killer look, which I'll be honest is not my favorite look. It's a little bit trendier for like I prefer something a little bit more muted, maybe, or you could say boring, but that bag is just, I think it's like borderline iconic, to be honest. So great pick on that.
It's actually tattooed on my body.
Shut up.
So the only reason why is at my old job, like well over a year ago, I traveled like full time, going to state to state, because I was the West Coast trainer for an environmental company. And on a flight from Denver, where I live, to Des Moines, Iowa, I was sitting next to this guy, and I'm a very extroverted person, so I'll talk to any fucking buddy if they'll talk to me. So we started talking to this guy. Turns out he was a tattoo artist, and told him what I did, told him about my YouTube channel. He was like, "Hey, come by my tattoo shop. I'll give you a free little tattoo, anything you want." So I thought about it for the week because I was seeing him right before I left, and I was like, you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. So I walked in there and I was like, "Can you tattoo this on me?" And now, because it's the first bag I ever bought, it's the first bag I ever reviewed. So I was like, it's iconic for me. So it's on my body now.
What color is it on your body?
It's just the outline.
Oh, just the outline. Yo, dude. That is the most badass, coolest freaking thing I ever. Wow, man, that's so awesome.
I was like, I just gotta get it. So free tattoo from a guy in Iowa, and just on my body forever now. Solidified.
Well, I don't know if there's any tattoo parlors open in Hong Kong on day one of Chinese New Year, but I'm gonna find out because I cannot be one-upped. I will get a backpack tattoo now.
I don't know how many reviewers have backpack tattoos. Maybe I should put this in the chat and be like, yo.
You totally should. I can't believe this hasn't come up before. It's such a flex, dude. Damn, dude, that is amazing. Now I got to think about what bag I get tatted on me. Well,
so I guess it had to be your favorite bag, right?
Yeah, which I can't name my own backpack because that doesn't count. Because not obviously yet. That's my favorite.
I'll ask you again in 3 months when it comes out. Then you can say.
Fine, deal. Aside from that, it's funny. I don't know because I'm a little like backpack fluid. There's new bags coming in and out, and like I'm always testing new ones. I would say that for an everyday carry, the bag that I've always gotten the most consistent value of is the Modern Day Farer backpack. It's just it gives me what I need, but also I need to clarify, like, it depends on where I'm at. Like, I live in Hong Kong. I don't have a car. I take trains and buses everywhere, and I'm walking 2 miles a day, on a normal day. So that's a backpack that suits that lifestyle, because I'm slinging my bag over to grab my keys. I'm slinging my bag over to grab my wallet. I'm slinging my bag over to put my AirPods back. So quick access is very important to me in that setting. But when I go home to the States and I'm visiting like my mom and I'm using the spare car, right? Like, I don't need that. I just need like a bag that I can put my stuff in, like, so I think it's indicative of like the use case and where you are and what you need the bag for. But to answer your question, I would say my favorite has always been the Modern Day Farer. It's got a good muted look to it. It's kind of a little bit of meanness to it. It's masculine without being too military or like tactical. I think that they've done a great job over at Modern Day Farer, and I've also gotten really close with the founder of Modern Day Farer, David, and he's just the coolest dude ever. So I try to give him a shout out anytime that I can.
I love Modern Day Farer. I haven't reviewed any of their bags lately, but their tech pouch pops up in so many of my videos. It's still one of my favorites. I mentioned it in the video that came out today on my channel. Like,
killer tech pouch.
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid your question about worst bag because I don't want
to.
Can I say like something about bags that I don't like, as opposed to picking on a particular brand?
You mean out of all the bags you reviewed, there's not one that like stands out as?
Because I don't do negative reviews usually. So if I get a bad bag, I will return it. I'll say, hey guys, I'll say, hey guys, here's the deal. I don't want to tank your business. This is not going to be a good review. Maybe I just don't see something, but I'd rather just not do that.
Yeah.
All our reviews are fair. I always do pros and cons, but like if there's a bag that is so obviously terrible for the price or overpriced or is just a piece of shit, then I just won't review it. And maybe I should. This is why like I respect Bo so much, because he'll just straight up be like, yeah, I don't like this
honest.
thing. He is,
I love that.
And that's something that I've never wanted to do, just because I never want to tank a business, like I never want to be like the reason like someone's dream gets crushed. I will always give a fair balanced review. So let me think.
Okay, that's a very fair point, and the only reason I even made a video about the one that I didn't like is because the customer service was so bad. So instead, I'll give you a pass, and you can do what you don't like about bags in general.
I'll say that, like, I think that, I think as a brand that, all right, fine, I'll give you something juicy. I think that I think that I've been falling less in love with Peak Design bags, and here's why. Here's why. Let me preface this, because I have nothing but respect for Peak Design. They name themselves Peak Design, which is a very ambitious thing to say, but they are there. They are at the peak of design in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
They make their own custom hardware. Like nobody else does this. But to segue into what I wanted to say is what's becoming increasingly important to me in a backpack is comfort. And I think that Peak Design bags are sacrificing comfort for other things like aesthetics, or let's say the ability for those backpack straps to stow away, right? They have this gorgeous system where the backpack straps like swivel, and then they just click right underneath the back panel, and it is so satisfying and very functional when you need it. But the problem is, to be able to accomplish that design wise, they have to make certain sacrifices. The straps have to be thinner, they have to be not too thick, and like I think that can come at the sacrifice of comfort in a lot of ways. And I do see a lot of comments on my channel being like, just bought the Peak Design bag, so excited. And then 3 months later, I can't wear that bag anymore. It's so uncomfortable. Yeah. So the bigger point is comfort on bags, which has become a bigger and bigger thing to me. And I see it more and more on the channel, because people will buy like a nomadic bag and it's like, dude, so stoked about it. It's got 17 million pockets and like, it's great. And then 4 months later, they're like, dude, that 4.5 pounds is like so heavy. I can't do it anymore. Like, so that's a recurring theme that I'm seeing in the channel for the comments that I read about bags. It's just like heavy, uncomfortable bags. They're just not standing the test of time. I think Peak Design will make their bags more comfortable. They're definitely getting this feedback. And this is also just my personal experience. So maybe other people might disagree, but you seem to also kind of be in agreement as well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously this is an audio format, so nobody saw my reaction, but no, I used to be in love with the smaller version of their travel pack. It actually used to be one of my go-tos. I loved it to death. And about probably like 4 months after doing my review, I was using it on a trip and I was like, why does this feel like just absolutely uncomfortable? And then it kind of started to click with me that like, oh, I've stopped using a lot of Peak Design bags because they're not comfortable. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, hopefully they are listening to the feedback, because one of my favorite things, and I use it all the time, is their phone wallet and phone case. I bought that stuff out of pocket. I loved it so much. I was like, I just want this. So yeah, they do a lot of other stuff other than bags, but I fully agree, and I fully agree about the nomadic comment too. I feel like they also all kind of eventually look the same, and also all are extremely heavy.
Yeah,
That's
it's
my hot take.
the aesthetic. It's a hot take. I love it, and no shade on either of these companies, because they both have cult-like followings.
Yeah.
And they both make some really great products. Like Tav, my camera dude, I'm curious, like, have you used the Peter McKinnon bag?
So I was gonna. The reason I says I looked over and it's on my table in the corner of my studio, because the Peter McKinnon 25-liter camera bag, it's between that and like the Provoke in terms of like what camera bag I lean towards, because it's it's the best thing that Nomadic has ever made, and I stand by
dude.
that.
And my camera dude loves it. Like, I can't tell you, he. I'm like, Tab, you can have any of these bags you want. I have 300 bags in this room, right? And he's like, the Peter McKinnon, and he doesn't even like Peter McKinnon that much as like an influencer or as a photographer.
Yeah.
He just loves the bag, you know. So like, so yeah, Nomadic does great stuff. Peak Design also, like, I think their travel bags might not be the most comfortable, but their daily bags are great. Like I have the Peak Design 15-liter zip. You know, you don't need quite as a robust system of comfort for a smaller bag. So, you know, they do great things, but I would just say the overall topic is like comfort is increasingly important to me. I'm seeing a trend in general where people are giving up on less comfortable bags and gravitating towards companies like Evergoods, companies like Tortuga, companies like GoRuck, who are putting an enormous emphasis on comfort.
Yeah, I need to get an Evergoods. I've only ever done one Evergoods bag. I need to try another one from them. I have a very neutral opinion because I haven't reviewed enough yet.
For sure. It's one of those weird brands that it's like they're so overhyped, but a lot of it is deserved. And maybe some of it's not, but a lot of it really is. They're really freaking good at what they do. Are they as good as, because they have a cult. Like they literally have a cult following.
Yeah.
And are they as good as their cult would lead you to believe? Maybe not, but like they're there. Like they're really right there.
Yeah, JB would argue differently from JBSI.
Oh, really?
Because he's a big Evergoods fan. He like knows the owners and does a lot of stuff.
Oh. So he. I thought you were saying he'd argue on the opposite side. Okay, so he thinks that they are worth the hype. Yeah. He you know, in the carry community, Evergoods and GoRuck are seen as like the two best brands. And I think there's a lot of reason to agree with that. I think also there's, you know, it also just depends on personal preference, but they are two brands that focus on great harness systems, a lot of comfort, and I think that's an enormous contributing factor why people are gravitating towards them. Because if your bag's not comfy, dude, doesn't matter how good it looks, you're gonna just give up on it after a few months because ain't nothing work having a back that's in pain.
Yeah, completely agree. I would say, I'm curious. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But my top three brands that I'm a cult following of is Bellroy, Manal, and Wandered. I think that those three for me.
It's a great list.
I think I'm looking around my room because I have all my favorite bags. Wow, maybe Pact. I'd probably put Pact on that list too because I'm looking at all my favorite bags that are hanging around the studio, and I'm like, yeah, those four I would say are probably like they come out with a bag, I'm first in line, and I'm probably not gonna have anything negative to say.
For sure. I mean, I love that you threw Manal in there too because they're criminally underrated in the carry community.
So underrated.
I don't know why, dude. Like I mean, I get that their bags are pricey, and I think that they are. Maybe even you could make an argument that they're a little overpriced for what you get. But I just freaking love Manal. The Carry On 3.0, dude. Like that's
one of my go-tos.
It's such a go-to, dude. It's so good.
It's one of my favorite travel bags.
It's so good. It's an amazing travel bag, lightweight, so versatile. It just there's something about it when that bag is on my back, I feel like I'm moving at a like faster speed. Like I'm just gliding when that bag is on my back. It feels amazing.
Yeah.
It's so streamlined. It's so freaking streamlined. Brands, I would say that's tough. Let me just look through real fast, taking inventory, looking at brands. I'd probably have to say that Air would be my go-to from that perspective.
Yeah.
They don't always knock it out of the park, but it's an aesthetic that speaks to me for what I'm looking for. It's muted. It's not too flashy. It's got a bit of masculinity to it, and like that's just what I'm looking for in a bag, right? So that's kind of and some people find that boring. Totally get it. You know, there's I totally get that, but it's got the aesthetic that I like. It's usually got the right amount of organization that I like, where it's not nomadic and there's 30 pockets. There's usually like 10 pockets in there, and one or two I might not use, but the other ones I will. There's usually some sort of quick access, but then that last point is the comfort. Usually the bags are pretty freaking comfortable. Usually very well padded, nice breathable back panel. Air would probably be the one that I'm most consistently like, damn, that's a good bag for what I need it to be.
It's a good brand.
Yeah, it really is. So I'll say Air, but a couple of honorable mentions because you asked for three. I would say I'll put Manal in there for sure. Shout out to Manal, and then let me think of a good third one. It's not fair sometimes too because I want to say Bellroy, but like Bellroy has putting out so many products that like a smaller brand like Modern Day Fair just can't compete, right? Because I'm thinking of all the amazing bags that Bellroy's released. but there's also some duds in there that I'm not crazy about. But also they have 20
Agreed.
times the budget. They have 20 times the budget that like I don't know, like a Pact might have, or King Kong is this new gym brand that I've been reviewing
Oh
that I like.
yeah, heard of King Kong.
So yeah, they're good. So I would say I'll do but I have to just do Belroy because they're just so freaking good. So
It's hard to
Belroy
say no to
and
them.
I know, and they get a
Yeah.
lot of hate from the carry community. Oh, their bags don't breathe enough, or there's not enough features, or they only care about their looks, dude. But they know what they are, and like that's a really important indicator for me for a backpack company is like having an identity and sticking to that. And Belroy is the best at that. They're like, hey, we make fun, light, quirky bags that look amazing and feel great to wear. And like, if you want other things, that's not what we do.
Yeah, I mean, my partner isn't a bag nut by any stretch. Actually, I would say they're at all. Like they're zero interested in bags. But the Belroy, I forget, it's the Work Pack Via, maybe. It's the one I took on the Frontier Challenge. They stole. They're like, oh yeah, this is my bag now, and they use it every single day for their job. So that's the ultimate shout out for Belroy. Somebody who's not even interested in bags was like, oh, this one I like. Out of all the bags I've ever owned, tried, like that's the one that they were like, oh, I want this one. So.
That's how you know, right there, proofs in the pudding. That's the best ad that Belroy's ever gotten. It's so good, your loved ones might steal it. That's a good tagline.
Hey, I actually need to reach out to Belroy. I'm gonna tell him that. Like that's the new tagline you need.
You should. I can see the ad right now, and it's just you, like just like looking down, like you're so sad, and it's like you know, it's just a single static shot, and then the headline's like, so good that your loved ones might steal it from you, right? And like a little bit of copy underneath that. Oh, dude, that'll sell so many bags. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Aaron, we're running out of time here, unfortunately, but really, really glad got to have you on here. Learn a little bit more about Nomads Nation. Hopefully, some other people got to find their new favorite bag reviewer, second favorite, because obviously,
second,
if you're listening to this, yeah. But
it's a close second, but I'll take it.
We like to end. We like to ask this question: what's your jam? So this is like anything you've been watching, consuming that you want to recommend to people.
I'm a little late to the party, but Succession is so freaking good. I'm loving it. I get if it's not for everyone, but it's just a show that's a very Aaron show. It's freaking hilarious. It's very business oriented. It's a family drama. I love family dramas. I come from a big family. We got a lot of drama. So my wife and I have been crushing Succession. We're almost on season 4. If you're looking for a great show that's got a really dark, twisted humor, it's gonna pull you to some highs and lows. Succession has been my jam.
Kevin will like that because he was we talked about Succession when it wrapped up, and he's a big Succession fan, so he'll appreciate that one for sure.
Have you seen it?
I just started it, so I am even later to the game. I'm on like episode 2.
Awesome. So. Yeah. My wife and I, we're about midway through season 3. It's just really good, dude. It is good. Let's nerd out on some Succession. Let me know as you're experiencing it, then I can re-experience it through your eyes.
Yeah, definitely. I'll keep you updated.
Thanks, my dude.
Where can people find you? And I'll make sure to link this in the show notes. But where can people find Nomads Nation?
Yeah, if anybody wants to follow Nomads Nation, just follow me on YouTube. It's Aaron at Nomads Nation. That's NOMADS Nation. And then you can learn more about, the world's best backpacks. And hopefully, if you're interested in following along for our building a backpack project with the launch of our own backpack, all the information's in the About page for the YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's very dope. Well, Aaron, thank you very much. And catch you next time.
Thanks, Odie. Thank you so much. Take it easy.
That's the way computers talk to each other.
Okay, Odie. So, interview, Nomad Nation. Turns out he actually did have Scott as an alternate personality. You lied to me. I knew that. I don't know how I predicted that. Scott, the editor of all the videos for Nomad Nation. He didn't even want to be at work that day.
No.
What a crazy thing for Aaron to do. Just he shuts his eyes and then he opens them again. He's like, I'm Scott now. Scott's here to talk to you.
Getting into character.
What was your favorite part about interviewing Aaron? Was this your first time interviewing Aaron?
Yeah, this is the first time I've actually really sat down and had a conversation like this with Aaron. Yeah. The last interview I did was with Bo Ismono. I've had dozens of conversations with him. So, it's just like a normal chat. But this is the first time I really got to ask Aaron questions. And I even say it like, hey, you might have answered these questions in other places, but like, I'm going to ask you so they can be all in one coherent place. Honestly, my favorite part about talking to Aaron was getting to know how he started his journey on YouTube. That is my favorite thing to talk to anybody about that's a content creator. If you have 100 subscribers or 100,000 subscribers, like hearing how other people like myself either stumbled or wanted to or got into the content creation sphere, starting a YouTube channel or whatever it might be, and hearing how, he ended up in Hong Kong of all places is just, it's always a fun time. And everybody's journey can be so unique and different that it's just nice. It's just nice to hear that kind of stuff.
I don't think people realize how easy it is to start, right? I think people make it seem much harder to start creating content, right? Like you just asked me to do a podcast. Yeah. And I had been doing a podcast with Matt, and I had no idea how to edit a podcast or any of the stuff that we do, right? Now we have theme music. I had to do that from scratch. Yeah. Like, but like, it just took sitting down and like sweating through it, really, right? Like getting into bag reviews for you. You were like, I want to do bag reviews. I'm sure if you look back at your first bag review, you're probably like, wow, that sucks.
Oh, it's bad,
right?
It's
like,
real bad.
Like being self-critical in a good way, going, wow, I'm really glad I did that, and look how far I've come. But yes, that is bad. Like you have to be bad at something first. Yeah. Like it's okay to be bad at something. Like that's the only way that you're going to do it. And one of the best things about content creation is you can just start. And as long as you don't let criticism or self-criticism get too much in your way, you're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What's your jam?
My jam is
mine's blueberry.
Oh, mine's boysenberry.
That's almost the same thing. They have very similar flavors. Did you know that?
I like boysenberry. My favorite is blueberry though. I blueberry everything. Blueberry anything.
Okay.
No, I have a blueberry kombucha in my fridge right now.
I believe you.
Anyways, jam would be the Mel Brooks 1967 Gene Wilder comedy, The Producers. Have you seen that movie?
No.
So this movie was remade with Matthew Broderick, Will Ferrell, Uma Thurman. I can't remember who directed it, but it was in 2005. But this movie, The Producers, is about a theater producer, Max, who has an accountant come by his office named Leo. Leo? Yeah, Leo. Gene Wilder.
It's Max Bialystock and Leopold Bloom. It's one of my favorite musicals of all time. Keep going.
Okay. So, long story short, the plot of this movie is Max and Leo kind of realize, hey, like,
they got to produce a flop.
If we produce a flop and raise more money than we need, we don't have to pay the investors back, and we can be criminals. And yes. My favorite part about
Max realizes it and then ropes Leopold in.
But then he's fully on board.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Because he wants to get out of his shitty job.
Yeah. And I think my favorite part about this movie, specifically the 67 version, I've never seen the 2005 version, but Gene Wilder's performance has solidified him to me between this, Blazing Saddles, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He is...
Young Frankenstein.
Another good one. Another Mel Brooks. Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks working together a lot. He is hilarious.
Hear no evil, see no evil.
I love that. You're causing me hysterics because I'm hysterical. Like, it's just...
I'm hysterical. I'm in hysterics.
It's just...
So good.
I love Gene Wilder. I love his performance. I love how over the top and stupid this movie is. And I love that Mel Brooks' movies have not aged like movies like my last jam, Airplane. Like, yes, Mel Brooks has made jokes that some people would consider like maybe offensive and things like that, but he does them in a way.
Specifically, like, I think a lot of his stuff now, if you were to watch it through a modern lens, you would go, all right, that's sexist. Okay, that's a little bit racist. Definitely, like, there are jokes about sex and jokes about race, but they're always the punchline isn't women are stupid. The punchline isn't, that's what this is. The punchline is above that. It's a higher tier of humor where they're making fun of sexism as a concept through the lens of a sexist joke.
That's that's exactly why I like them, is because it's almost like they're parodying themselves in a sense. Like, all of his movies are very they're not set in a real world scenario in my mind. Like,
No.
They're very much out there. Like Max is.
Yeah, they're zany.
He's having sex with old women. Like that's his whole thing to get money.
It's his thing. He loves old ladies.
Yeah.
He loves old ladies. He loves checks.
Yeah,
he loves money.
It's just
he loves money.
It's a very just a fun. It's just a fun movie. I mean, yeah.
Max Bialystock in the musical The Producers is actually one of the roles I would love to play.
You'd be good at it.
Would love to play Max Bialystock. Nathan Lane played Max Bialystock in The Producers of the musical, and then also played Gomez Adams in The Addams Family.
Hey,
I would love to play
one of those.
Basically, anything Nathan Lane has done, I would gladly do. He's just so fun, and like you don't have to do his voice to do his humor, because his humor is just very loud and like present.
Yeah.
But that's like, I love it. It always lands for me. But the movie you're referencing is not the same thing I'm referencing.
No.
But I do love. But my favorite thing that I love is they decide that the biggest flop that they're ever going to have is going to be
Springtime for Hitler.
Which is a musical. It's a they call it a. What is it? A gay Austrian waltz through the Third Reich, or romp through the Third Reich, starring Ava and Adolf, and like
it's great.
And they release it, and it's supposed to bomb. And you hear the title and you hear the description, and you're like, oh yeah, that would bomb. But their director
for Hitler
has to go out and play Hitler, and the director is Roger Elizabeth Debris, who may or may not be related to Hitler, but also is like flamboyant. And so he ends up doing this parody version of Hitler, and people think that it's a comedy, and they love the show, and it becomes a hit.
Is the musical before the Mel Brooks movie?
No, it's way
because
later.
In the movie, the director changes it to become a satire, and he does not play Hitler.
In the musical, the director unintentionally makes it a satire because he ends up playing Hitler, because the guy who wrote it, played by Will Ferrell in the musical movie Franz, they're doing this whole break a leg, and then he
breaks a leg.
They do this break a leg number. He literally breaks his leg. So then the director is the only person who knows the musical well enough to go on. So Roger Debris goes on as Hitler, and like people are leaving the theater. It sucks. And then he starts singing the song Heil Myself. And like people just start cracking up and sitting back down. They're like, oh, this is a joke.
Because that's, I know that. So it's funny because there's 3 iterations of this. There's the 1967, the musical, but the 2005 movie is following the musical. Okay, yes. Interesting.
It's a musical movie.
Interesting.
And Uma Thurman plays Ula. It's so good. Like I can't. I need
to watch
phenomenal.
That one now because
you 100% need to. It's fantabulous.
I'll have to remember. I remember the poster, the big cardboard cutout was in my movie theater when it came out, and I remember being like, "What is this movie about?" Because it was very clearly it was Matthew Broderick. Who plays Max in the...
Nathan Lane. We just said this.
In the movie?
Yes, it's Nathan Lane.
Oh, cool. So Matthew Broderick and Nathan Lane, and then it's Uma Thurman laying across the desk, and she's like kind of looking like painted like a French girl. And I remember being like, "Is this movie about like the porn industry?" That's what I thought when I first saw it. Like, I was like,
I can get why you would think that. Yeah.
That makes total sense. Anyways, that's my jam for sure.
That's cool. My jam this week is Manuel Gardner Fernandez. Am I saying that right?
I don't know.
Hold on, let me make sure.
Are you asking me?
Yes. Manuel Gardner Fernandez. He is the singer-songwriter, main guitar player for the band Unprocessed. He also releases his own music. Unprocessed released an album last year with a track on it called Hell. And then he went back and recorded a very short little single playing the majority of the main riffs from that song. On a nylon stringed guitar, which is like just it sounds so freaking dope. Like I cannot. So the song is called Hell on Nylon, which already like sounds like a cool title, but it's that song kind of broken down into like a Reader's Digest version. It's not very long. I think it's only like a minute. Yeah, it's only like a minute, but it's like 60 seconds of just like this beautiful guitar work, and it's like a little tiny clip, and I've probably listened to it a couple dozen times because it's only a minute long. So like here and there, I'll just like turn it on, get through the whole minute of it, and then be like, that was nice.
Yeah.
And like go on to whatever else I'm doing. But I've listened to it enough. He's a very, very, very talented guitarist. And not only that, he's one of those dudes like Manuel Gardner Fernandez is one of those dudes first you hear the guitar work and then you hear his like vocals and you're like, wow, this dude's talented. And then you see him and you're like, you could have been in a boy band. Like, you're a very handsome man, Manuel Gardner Fernandez. You won the genetic lottery. Your brain's wired to write beautiful guitar pieces, and you look great.
Yeah, got the whole package.
But yeah, so that's my jam this week. My jam this week is a man crush.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
That's it. Let's end on a high note. Let's end on man crush.
I took that very literal.
I keep pointing off into the to the left. There's
you're
nothing
pointing at your
there.
skateboard.
I want you to know I'm pointing to nothing. I'm not even pointing at the skateboard that I hung up. That was actually hard to hang up.